Hi, this is Charles Kelly, Money Tips podcast, not podcast. Great to see you all again. I'm going to keep this quite short today because I want to talk briefly about the Queen, but not just about the usual stuff that you hear. But I'm asking the question: what has the Queen ever done for us? I mean, us as in the British public, the country, the UK country. What has the Queen? Because I've had a lot of comments recently, and people are saying, "Well, what has she done for us?" This just sits there in this castle and that sort of thing. Has free houses in Balmoral. All these sorts of comments are coming out. So I wanted to just explore that actually. Now, I would say that apart from, let's leave aside the 600 charities she supports. Let's leave aside her civic duties, the fact that she'll be constantly on engagements, opening this, opening that, visiting all sorts of charities, hospitals, new developments, all that sort of thing. And then apart from the constitutional duty she has as head of state, signing off laws, giving the royal assent to new laws, to new legislation, apart from that, apart from her responsibilities of meeting the prime ministers of the day and lots of other government people of the day, and while she hasn't got any direct powers, she has a lot of influence over the way government is run. But let's leave all that aside, right? Her 70 years of contribution, working almost up until her death, signing papers with this red box that she used to get. Let's leave all that aside and just focus on one thing, and that is tourism. Right, tourism. People visiting the UK that know about the Queen, one of the most famous faces in the world. She is one of the most photographed person in the world. This is just the Queen. This is one of the royal family. The Queen and the royal family in general have attracted millions and millions of tourists over the years. Every year we get millions of visitors, many of whom come to London and other cities because of the royal family. Okay, it's not the only reason they come here, but it certainly is a big attraction. I'm sure France, who of course beheaded their royal family, would love to have a royal family to bring in the punters, to get bums on seats in French hotels. I'm sure they would love that. So let's just look at that. She's still packing them in now after her death. There are still people packing their way into London and filling up the hotels in London right now and queuing up for a whole day. There's a 3-mile queue just to see past her coffin. And then let's look at the publicity and the attraction that the royal family bring to the UK. I mean, on Sunday they brought a coffin from Balmoral down to Edinburgh to lay in state, and there was a helicopter in the sky following the procession for 6 hours. It was unbelievable. And they followed it through these Scottish Highlands, and you saw these lovely villages and lovely places. And then you saw cities and then villages, and then Edinburgh, of course, beautiful Edinburgh. Now, do you think that's been good for Scottish tourism? Yes, of course it has. Do you think the Scottish Tourism Board could have afforded that sort of commercial that long, a 6-hour commercial for Scotland? Of course not. And all the photos in London, all the marching bands and the guards, and this is huge amounts of free publicity for UK PLC. And do you think that's going to bring in tourists? Of course it is. Naturally, of course it is. So just look at that. And Prince Charles is a brand. Prince William and Kate are a brand. Even Harry and Meghan are their own brand. And you can see how much Harry and Meghan has cashed in on their own brands. They've gone private, if you like. They're making millions of dollars as brand Harry and Meghan. I think that's more of an influence of Meghan actually, but you can see how they are becoming like the Kardashians of the royal family, if you like. And so it's incalculable how much their brand is worth, although it has been calculated actually. But I mean, I can't imagine the Queen going down the road of the Kardashians or any. I just can't imagine her privatizing her brand in that way. But it just illustrates what the family are worth. I mean, think of the business they bring into the UK, and think of the hotels, the restaurants, the airports, the taxi drivers who earn money, the support staff, the thousands of workers who work in the tourism industry, which is one of the biggest industries in the UK actually, and it brings a lot of invisible earnings to the balance of payments. There's no doubt that they have contributed hugely to UK PLC. So how much is the royal family's brand worth? Well, Business Insider .com in 2017 calculated their worth at £67 billion, £67 billion, and they said that they contribute every year 2.4 billion pounds to the UK economy. That's, I would say that's a small estimate actually, but it just shows you what. So when people say, what has the Queen ever done for us? Well, they bring in business, and that helps to fuel the economy of this country. It means that the businesses that benefit from this pay more taxes and add in those taxes and into the exchequer, to the government coffers, which then means that they can pay out all sorts of things, running the NHS, running schools, running the roads and the police and the security, and pay out benefits for people who are unfortunate enough not to be able to work or are sick. So that's what I think the Queen does for us. I wouldn't say I'm a raving royalist, but I can appreciate what they do for us. You've only got to go into London. I was in London on Sunday. It was packed with people, literally packed with people. Now, before I go on, I just want to say, could you please like and subscribe to this podcast, to this post that you see. It not only helps me, but it helps get the content out to people to see this free content that benefits them. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to tell you about a special offer I've got for you right today to maybe talk to me personally about how you can develop your own business. Now, what is the most valuable brand in the world? Well, years ago, I would have definitely said Coca-Cola, because that's what it was. It was Coca-Cola. I think McDonald's was up there as well. But now the brands are dominated by tech and Silicon Valley type companies. And according to Kantar Brand Z, the top 10 most valuable global brands are, which is the most valuable brand in the world? Apple. Apple is the most valuable brand in the world, worth nearly $1 trillion. Followed by, I'll just read out the top 10 very quickly. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all Silicon Valley companies. Facebook is in there at number 7, but then it goes on from Microsoft to Tencent, a Chinese company, McDonald's. Then you've got Facebook, Alibaba, Louis Vuitton. So those are the companies there, mostly, as I said, dominated by American companies, but Tencent and Alibaba, of course, Chinese companies, and Louis Vuitton still is a French company. But Apple's brand alone is estimated to be worth $1 trillion, and Google and Amazon are not far behind. But China's, as I said, got 2 companies in there now. So when you talk about developing your own brand, how do you develop your own brand? Well, look at the way China has developed those 2 brands. China is moving away from just becoming a manufacturing company, manufacturing cheap goods. They are trying to develop their own brand names, and they are doing it very, very well, with their own cars, with their own trainers, with their own sports range. And Tencent and Alibaba are moving towards that. They're now in the top 10 brands in the world. Now, I don't claim to be a brand expert, but one of the ways you can do to help develop your own brand, because you might be a small business, is you've got to try and distinguish yourself from the pack. There are lots of mobile phone companies out there, but Apple distinguished itself from the pack. And in fact, the most popular mobile phone at that time was probably Nokia, and Apple have just knocked them off the park, if you like. But you've got, and there were lots of search engines out there before Google, and there were lots of online companies out there selling stuff online, before Amazon. So you've got to be able to, I think, distinguish yourself, and not just be a company that sells a cheap commodity in a race to the bottom. Because if you offer a good product, and Apple's not by no means the cheapest mobile phone out there, is it? But I've got an Apple phone and I wouldn't change it. They've got a moat around their brand that means that people will not change their brand so easily. Yeah, some people have changed to Android phones, and some say they're better than Apple phones. But once you're in there, once you're in that Apple thing, you've got all your software set up, you've got all these things that you're used to it. It's unlikely that you're going to change very easily. So Apple have got this brand around them, and they distinguish themselves in ways that other companies just have not. So they don't race to the bottom. To Steve Jobs didn't say, well, we're going to have the cheapest phone out there. And that's the same with you. If you've got a good product, if you've got a premium product, then people will pay for that product. I was at a meeting today at one of the David Lloyd centres in Bushey, which is an affluent area near Radlett and Bushey, and it's there's a lot of money there, and they have a massive David Lloyd gym and tennis courts and swimming pool, and they're developing it. They're spending $4 million developing the spa there, and they've got premium type customers. They want the exclusivity that somewhere like the David Lloyd gives them, and they're prepared to pay for it. I mean, I have to say, I go to Pure Gym. It's a cheap gym, but they've got a brand name, right? But it is known for their brand is based on, you know, low fees but with classes. Not many staff there, but it's just a gym. There's no pool, and that suits me. You know, I only pay about £20 a month, but that suits me. But if I wanted to play tennis, if I wanted a pool, then, you know, the David Lloyd would be great. Now, I used to be a member of the David Lloyd when I played tennis, but I'm not now. And I just asked them, how much do you charge now for your fees? And she said it's £180 a month. Now, that's a lot of money. You know, £180 a month, when you could get lots of gym memberships for, you know, between £20 and £50 a month very easily. They charge £180 per month, but they've got a restaurant, they've got bars, they've got kiddie places, and you can see that it's a premium product. But I asked them, I said, well, you've got lots of members? I said, yeah, we're fine. You know, you see people going in and out there. They've got money to spend. People have got money. I know there's a pending recession. I know that people are struggling out there, but nevertheless, there are still people out there with money to spend. And if you've got the right product for them and you offer an exceptional service, then you will build a brand based on that. Now, you know, you might not be up there with the Apples of this world, but you can build a brand based around offering a better service, a more of a premium service than just offering the cheapest thing. I met a solicitor that started up a law firm that is different from other solicitors. He's not just exchanging his time for money. He's doing something different. I want to get him on this podcast very shortly. But one of the things they do is they offer a better service. They're not offering the cheapest conveyancing, for instance. They don't just do conveyancing, but they're not offering the cheapest conveyancing, but they'll offer a better service. You can get hold of the person when you want to. You'll be speaking to the same person every time, not just somebody in a call center factory type of conveyancing. So they're distinguishing themselves. They're above the pack. They've got their head above the pack. And as Zig Ziglar said, there's always more room at the top. At the top of the pyramid, there's less people, isn't there? There's more people at the bottom of the pyramid, all struggling and scraping around. But at the top of the pyramid, there's more people. As they said, you know, most of the wealth goes to the top 5%. Because the top 5% are doing something different than the rest of the 95%. So that's just a little tip on branding there. There's a lot more to learn about branding, and I'm going to be bringing someone on this podcast. We'll be talking about how to build your own brand and build your own business in future weeks. Now, before I go, I just wanted to say, you know, if you're trying to build a business, if you're out there, you're trying to get through these difficult times, right? And you want to get your particular own finances under control, then do check out my free training. I'll put a link up in the description. Click on the link and you can check out my very great training, but absolutely free, which will help you get control of your finances within a 28-day period, and then help you to then build financial freedom from there. And if you want to book a personal consultation with me for what I call a wealth accelerator discovery call, then you can do that as well in the description by clicking on the link. So have a great day, have a great evening, great morning, whatever time you listen to this, and don't forget to like and subscribe so that other people can benefit from my free content, which is on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, and it's all over the place. So thanks very much for listening, and bye for now.